This is your boy, like what have been doing. And so let me put this up front. I'm not against this. I rather have more consoles, more stuff to play games. I'm not denying it. I won't get it. Would I buy this? No, I won't. But my point is, unlike other gamers, I don't care what a console, Warcraft, whatever. Having more platforms means more games. Now, is this worth the stuff? Now, I'm gonna just give my review through Linus to see what happened. No, remember, this is Linus, so he's gonna be all for it, gun ho and everything. And again, I'm not against the Steam console and all that stuff. The VR stuff, PlayStation, everybody have that. It's not gonna be for me. So, for those who like it, hope y'all have the best and enjoy it.
Valve dropped 3 absolute bombs today. The Steam Frame standalone VR headset, that's going to have to be a separate video. But this one focusing on the new Steam Machine, and yes, the wait is finally over, the 2026 edition Steam controller. Let's start with a little history. Over 10 years ago, Valve announced their first version of SteamOS, a Linux-based operating system that would free gamers from the shackles of Microsoft Windows. No, it was a total commercial flop. But instead of giving up on Steam machines, Valve doubled down, working with game developers on Linux-native ports of their games and with open source developers on the Proton compatibility layer that makes their Steam Deck handheld out-of-the-box compatible with thousands of Steam games, even ones that only ever shipped on Windows. The Steam Deck is believed to have sold millions of units at this point, and no wonder given it.
Yeah, not a lot though, but okay. You know, we're close to the console a lot of people want to hate on, but let's go with what it is.
It's a great balance of solid gaming and outstanding affordability. But it's...
If that was the case, if that was the case, Lance, then people would have bought this. People would have bought the Steam Deck as much as they bought the Switch 2, which surpassed over 10 million, which by now it's got to be at 12 million, and it's steaming up for a long time. Anyway, I digress. Let's hype up one with the sales and then don't hype the other one. Play the favoritism, and I'm guilty of it as well too. But I'm doing objective thinking here. That's the difference.
Mobile form factor has given it certain limitations and left gamers hungry for something more substantial. And well, here it is. I'm calling it the Lunchbox. 1, because it's substantial, like lunch. 2, because it's cube-shaped, like a box. And 3, because I think this thing is going to eat Xbox's lunch. Okay, that last one was a bit of a reach, but not as far as I'm reaching for this segue.
Of course it'll eat Xbox's lunch. That's the only competitor it has, because Xbox is as the software for and trust me, Xbox is doing a good job of killing themselves.
To our sponsor.
Hold up, RoveLab is having a sale, 60% off. They're easy to move, and they're easy to use, and super comfy.
Because if you spend over $100, or if you're really lucky, you may...
Let's get that.
In what has become typical Valve fashion, they've been atypically open about the new Steam machine, giving us direct access to the engineering folks who worked on these devices. The only thing I didn't have today was time, so we're going to get through this as fast as we can. At the heart of the Steam machine is a 6-core AMD Zen 4-based CPU that turbos up to 4.8 GHz with 16 gigs of RAM and an 8 gig GPU that they compared to a 7600 XT-ish. But they were also quick to point out that it might not be apples to apples thanks to their custom software stack and power tuning. Basically, the goal was that pretty much anything on Steam should run at 4K 60 FPS if you're willing to turn down the details and use a little bit of FSR upscaling. And we saw that on display with Cyberpunk running in the demo room at these settings. Valve says to expect about 6 times the performance of the Steam Deck. Now, I was a little surprised to not see an SoC with shared memory, but apparently the decision to go for discrete CPU and GPU came down to balancing cost, power, size, and performance, and also they just didn't feel like they needed to. And I guess Valve was right, because they nailed this thing. Compared to a more traditional ITX small form factor machine like the OG Steam machine reference design, you can see that it's a lot smaller. More on par with a highly integrated design like something like the Framework desktop. Investment disclosure. Like the Framework desktop, Valve allows customization of the front panel using these magnetic plates, and they're going to provide the CAD files so you can put whatever your heart desires on here. They even had a machine in the demo room with an e-ink display that was showing system vitals. Pretty darn cool. But unlike the Framework, it has a programmable RGB strip in the front that could be used to personalize your style or maybe show a progress bar while you switch your TV input and wait for your game to be downloaded. The sky's kind of the limit. The front of the device has a power button, micro SD slot, 2 USB 3 5 gigabit per second ports. Then the rest of the I/O is in the back, where you'll find 2 USB 2 Type A ports, a USB-C 10 gigabit per second port, no display port on there, that is worth noting, gigabit Ethernet, power in for the integrated power supply. Good gravy, this thing is compact, as well as an HDMI 2.0 and DisplayPort 1.4 port. It is worth noting that HDMI 2.0 port, they have tested it at HDMI 2.1 speeds, but there are a couple of features that are not implemented, so they can't call it HDMI 2.1. Also at the back, we have a large 120mm cooling fan that draws air from both the intake on the bottom that comes up through the power supply, as well as the large heatsink on the front. We're going to crack this thing fully open in a sec, but first I want to talk about the Steam controller. No, not that Steam controller, the new one, with the exact same name. Before you ask, yes, I made my case to Valve that this is unnecessarily confusing. No, they're not going to change it. The good news is Valve learned a lot from the first Steam controller, and this appears to be their most complete offering ever. To be fair, the original was really cool. I mean, it made non-controller games finally playable from the couch, thanks to their innovative haptic touchpad. They also unlocked novel input schemes with gesture control or like swiping with momentum. But they also turned off a lot of folks due to their deficiency of traditional joysticks. Well, that's solved now. The Steam controller is everything that is great about the controller on the Steam Deck, but usable when your Steam Deck is in docked mode, or with your Steam machine, or with any other PC, investment disclosure. On the surface, it offers up a conventional ABXY button layout with a PlayStation-style symmetric joystick design that will work seamlessly out of the box with basically any game. The trackpads have been repositioned to better accommodate the arm's natural position while holding a smaller device compared to the wider Steam Deck, and all of the usual Valve buttons are included. A Steam button for opening the menu, their quick access button for bringing up the SteamOS overlay, 4 rear programmable buttons, the face buttons are satisfying with a nice amount of resistance, and the D-pad has been tuned from the Steam Deck for better feel. It feels okay to me, but I only got a couple minutes with it before Valve blew my mind. The joysticks are next-generation TMR or tunneling magnetoresistant joysticks, boasting superior accuracy and durability even compared to Hall effect joysticks. And the controller has been designed from the ground up for a superior gyroscopic aiming or mousing experience with capacitive thumbsticks and even capacitive grips, so you can configure your gyro to enable or disable depending on whether you put your thumb on the stick or even by simply loosening your grip, say to recenter and then reactivate gyroscopic aiming. They had a...
Okay. I will say this right here. This is one of the parts I like having different consoles. Even though Nintendo is my preferred console, this is why I like I have different consoles. From the PlayStation to Xbox, whatever. You get different stuff. For what he's saying, the controller sounds cool. And good for Steam for putting it together and putting the money into it. So I'm not against that. You get more ingenuity, more creativity, and maybe things that make things a little bit more better implementations of certain things. So I like that. Let's go back a little bit again.
A nice amount of resistance, and the D-pad has been tuned from the Steam Deck for better feel. It feels okay to me, but I only got a couple minutes with it before Valve blew my mind. The joysticks are next-generation TMR or tunneling magnetoresistant joysticks, boasting superior accuracy and durability even compared to Hall effect joysticks. And the controller has been designed from the ground up for a superior gyroscopic aiming or mousing experience with capacitive thumbsticks and even capacitive grips, so you can configure your gyro to enable or disable depending on whether you put your thumb on the stick or even by simply loosening your grip, say to recenter and then reactivate gyroscopic aiming. They had
That's
a great
cool.
demo with Balatro showing how you can use the game's built-in controller compatibility like a pleb, or, hear me out, trackpads with the right for movement and the left one split down the middle for left and right click. Or, hear me out again, gyro mouse using the face buttons for clicks. And if you don't care about gyro aiming, these capacitive inputs are all remappable as well, opening up a whole world of possibilities.
That's awesome.
Let's go even deeper.
I'm not against
In
it.
addition to the haptic, texture-like feedback that you know and love from Valve's previous touchpads, the Steam controller has been upgraded with large rumble motors for better immersion and a large battery that they claim should be good for 35 hours in the most demanding applications, and even better if you don't need quite as much rumble. But I haven't even talked about the best part. If you've ever gamed over Bluetooth, you know that it can be inconsistent at best. Valve's solution? The puck. Every Steam controller comes with a wireless dongle that clips magnetically to the Steam controller using a couple of nice, strong alignment magnets. And it uses a proprietary 2.4 gigahertz wireless interface that Valve claims is good for about 8 milliseconds end-to-end latency and offers up superior resiliency when you're using multiple controllers. It allows 4 controllers per puck, so that's not as good as the Xbox dongle, which can do 8, but Valve has tested up to 4 pucks on a single system for a maximum of 16 players, meaning that you're probably going to run out of seats on your couch before you run out of controller compatibility. The last chef kiss on top is an IR emitter that's cozied up beside the power LED to help you find your controller when you're in VR. I love it. Now let's get back to the Steam machine who got naked while we were busy. Oh, you. While Valve's goal was to build something that is zero hassle, grab in game for the non-tinkerers, they really were laser focused on a console-like experience with quick suspend and resume
Basically.
and modern standby so that your games are already updated when you sit down to play. They also fully acknowledge that there are folks out there, guilty, who are tinkerers, and they've come up with an ingenious design for this thing that allows it to cater to both audiences. In advance, no, you're not going to be swapping out the BGA soldered processors. But what you can do is upgrade the storage with next to no hassle to a 2230 or larger 2280 sized M.2 drive. And while we couldn't go that deep today, Valve also confirmed that the memory uses standard SODIMM slots. Finally, while Valve hasn't actually told iFixit that this product is coming yet, they did say that they're hoping to continue their partnership that they've had on the Steam Deck, making replacement parts available for end users. Awesome. Since we're in here, by the way, there are some really cool details that I'd love to highlight. The power supply, for one thing, is fully integrated to the point where it's actually part of the chassis, and the cooling solution pulls air directly through it, which avoids any need for it to have its own fan. The aforementioned Delta cooling fan is actually slightly thicker than the standard 25mm for extra static pressure, and it includes antenna mounts that are integrated into it, along with I/O mounts. Cool, right? Oh, this is actually a great look at the 4 antennas. So this is the back of the device where you have your 2 antennas for Wi-Fi 6E. Then if we flip it around to the front, we've got 1 antenna for Bluetooth peripherals and another one that is dedicated to your Steam controller or controllers. So that puck that's included with your controller is actually extra, and you could chuck it on another PC or next to your couch for charging. A major question mark, though, is of course price. Valve wasn't able to give any specific numbers due to rapidly evolving market conditions, but they will obviously have it nailed down when the Steam machine launches in Q1 2026 alongside the new Steam controller. They did give me one hint though. They said that while they expect it to be very competitively priced with a PC, that it will be priced like a PC rather than like a console with games subsidizing the upfront hardware purchase. They wouldn't say why, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's partially to avoid stepping on the margin opportunities of their potential partners for Steam games and Steam software, but also because they recognize that the Steam machine is a full-fledged PC, capable of being used as a full-fledged PC. There's no guarantee then that, say, a corporate purchase of 10,000 of these things would result in a single game sale. So they really do need to protect the sustainability of their hardware business. Another major question mark is, where the heck is standalone SteamOS for custom PC builders? Well, we aren't going to get a formal SteamOS release for BYO hardware configurations anytime soon, but Valve has expanded the list of supported third-party devices, and they have supported installing the Steam Deck recovery image on AMD CPU and GPU systems for some time, and recently updated it to support their latest Zen 5 and RDNA 4 architecture processors. So nothing prevents you from building your own Steam machine and installing the software for free, though you will miss out on some things. HDMI CEC control, for instance, required Valve to build a custom motherboard in order to have your computer turn on alongside your AV receiver. And to get that on a BYO PC would require some serious cooperation between hardware makers that I don't know if we should hold our breath for. But the bulk of the experience should work pretty much out of the box. We may even get a release that supports a broader range of hardware in the future. But the vibe I'm picking up on around here is that it really depends on better support for Intel and especially NVIDIA GPUs. I'm also picking up this vibe to our sponsor.
What up? Hey.
Okay, so, all right. Steam makes their own kind of PC/console. I'm not against it, like I said at the beginning of the video. That's cool. The controller has a lot of innovative stuff in there, so again, maybe one of these days I'll check it out. Would I really buy a Steam console? No, and it's not because of the price, because I think it's going to be about $1,000. $899 at the cheapest, but I'm thinking $1,000. And if they have different versions, it might be $1,200 for an upgraded version. That's my price. That's what my spidey senses are saying. So y'all want that, whatever. It's because it's like a PC. The reason I would not pick up this console is the whole argument that everybody be having with gaming nowadays, and that is, I don't own the games. So I want to say, I want physical games. I want ownership. I want that stuff. I already went through. Do not come tell me about the whole stuff. I've been through it. I've talked to people who are Steam people who all have Steam OS, and also even people who work for Steam. And you don't really outright own the games. Not all of them. They say there's a few games that people do it, but you still need the launchers and all. I don't need all that. I'm good. Again, I'm simple. Sorry. I like a plug-and-play process. Give me the stuff, plug and play. Just like I want to turn my car on, off, that's what it is. So, again, good for it. Like the innovation. That's what I like. Make different stuff to keep the gaming market going. This is a good video. This is not a bad video. I'm not knocking Steam. I'm not downplaying Steam or nothing. Good for them for doing that. We know the Steam Deck sold. Not a lot compared to another company, like I said, but they're sold. PC, the controllers, people like them, good, and I hope the best for them. I don't want Xbox to really go away, but they're effing up their own system, so I don't really care. And last but not least, if this is what people want to do to get their games, go ahead and do that. The VR, like I said, not my cup of tea, so I'll leave that alone. But good job, Steve. And all those who want that, go ahead. We can watch them sales numbers and see what's going on. But that said, remember, there's no perfect games out there. What's perfect to you is not perfect to me. What's perfect to me is not perfect to you. Simply enjoy your games on all consoles, including PC. Peace out.